Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an overpowered one-handed sword build in Code Vein 2. The thing with a one-handed sword is it has a very powerful moveset here with a great charge heavy attack. There's a few different one-handed sword types that I'll be going over. There's some that are more like katanas, whereas this one here has this incredible charge attack here which lets you get in and close the gap on enemies really quickly. This is also great if you want to do somewhat of a casting build because you can get out of combat and then re-enter it really quickly. This is a very fun build, and I'll be using the Camilla's Thorn weapon, but I'll also show off some other ways to do this build. Some of the more great sword weapons have this katana slashing moveset to them. This is from the deluxe edition, versus Camilla's Thorn having this really nice and flashy moveset with the charge heavies that are quick, being able to close gaps really fast. I'll go over weapons, and the Ame no Habakiri Greatsword, which comes with the deluxe edition, is great. However, not necessary, and honestly, when you get to Carmilla's Thorn here, this is so good with an attack scaling of 666 at level plus 16. And the thing that makes the deluxe edition weapon so good is that sacrificial edge, which you can actually find in the game to apply to any weapon that you want. I also personally really like the Ice Blood here. This is another rapier style weapon that has that nice moveset, but the charge attack does this ice beam here, which gives it a tiny bit more range, but it does have a little bit lower damage than Carmilla's Thorn. There's also Flame Blade, which you can get a little later on in the game. This is acquirable from Magmel, and you can go swap out and give Jadiga a card to be able to purchase these weapons here. They're purchasable at Magmel right to the left when you first get in here, and not a lot of people know this, but if you were to run up to the left-hand side, I guess right-hand side depending on your view of this place, you're going to come into this room here, and here's Jadwiga. You got to talk to her and give her the card. If you don't, you're not going to get access to those items, and she sometimes will be sitting in this chair, so it's a little bit hard to find her. This gives you a large number of swords that you can purchase here at Magmel, which I'd highly recommend because this gives you the Flame Blade, Ice Blood, Nagi Mercuro here as well, and this is where you get Carmilla's Thorn. What makes Carmilla's Thorn so good is it's got a B+ scaling and dexterity, which a lot of blood codes will be spec'd around, and its stat requirements are pretty modest, with only a 13 dexterity required, and with some stat boost, you can actually get the quick dodge off, which is definitely recommended on any weapons that have a short reach. Despite this having a stab attack, which gives you a bit of range, it's really nice to have that quick dodge. This is very generous in this game. Now, we can get the secret art for Stall here, which gives you a ranged attack on it, but I'd honestly recommend swapping out and adding some more skills to this. Whereas some weapons do come with some nice skills, like the Flame Blade and Ice Blood, and even the Hene Makuro, which has Blade Dance and Circulating Pulse. I prefer to swap these out, but I'll cover weapon skills in a moment. And if you have the deluxe edition, by all means, use the Ame no Habakiri Greatsword. This is a very powerful one, and the best part is the stat requirements are very modest as well, so you can actually get by with a lot of different builds. I'll also mention the Ancient Hunter Sword. This is a really good weapon as well. All the Ancient Hunter weapons I found to be very powerful in this game. It's similar to Camilla's Thorn, it just doesn't have the same moveset, but it does have somewhat comparable damage. And it has the Circulating Pulse Attack and Adrenaline, which are great skills. And since its stat requirements are very low, this will mean that you can likely get a quick dodge with pretty much everything. It also has higher scaling and strength, so if you're going into a strength code, you can also use that. All the Ancient Hunter weapons are really good in this game. Now, as for our blood code, if we're using the Carmilla's Thorn, I really like Xenon's Bloodline once you get to this one, because this one will actually distribute your burdens between your different stats there, and it also gives you an attack boost, but it's high in its dexterity stat, which is what we want here. Lou's blood code is good as well, although you don't have the stats to be able to use this, and it's probably better to use the Ancient Hunter Sword with this one. Noah's blood code is good as well with a high dexterity stat, since Carmilla's Thorn does scale off of that. And if you're able to get Lyle's blood code up, this is another really good one, although you'd want to take points out of some way to boost the willpower so that you can get that quick dodge, because that's where he really does lack. But with his blood code, he gets a 33 dexterity, which obviously does scale up very high. He's missing out on strength, though, and that's why I think that the Xenon bloodline ends up being the absolute best, with high scaling in both of those and a high vitality. And if you're going to use the deluxe edition Greatsword here, this is where Lou's blood code really shines, because you can get this quick dodge easily with just Lou's 3 bloodline, or even Lou's 4 will obviously be a lot better, having a good high amount of damage. So yeah, if you're going with that, you can roll with Lou's bloodline. That again is for the Ame no Habakiri Greatsword. As mentioned, with the Ancient Hunter's Sword, you can get it either on Lou's 2 or 3 blood code. Xenon's blood code will also give you that fast dodge. So yeah, for the big 3, those would be the blood codes I'd recommend. Now our offensive Formae. Now, Blood Reaver Blade is insanely powerful. I enjoy personally the MK Rosenritter, which is like these huge Gatling guns. And the bow can be useful at certain times, especially if there's bosses that are kind of playing the long game with us. But the Blood Reaver Blade's damage is just so insanely high. Basically, with it, we want to hold it in till the second flash and then let go right on time. You're going to see there 7,000 damage, which is going to chunk away a boss's health bars. The timing on it's a little bit tricky, but once you use it a few times, you can see there, you can actually get it quite resiliently, and it's got a good amount of damage on that, and good range too, so use it. And since we're expecting a strength and dexterity, you'll get a good solid amount of damage. This can also get applied buffs and a bunch of other things like boosters, which we're not even using, so that 7,000 can scale upwards of like 20 to 40k. Now for defensive boosters, or defensive Formae, honestly, we don't want to have our burden go too high, so just be mindful of what you're equipping. I just have the bleeding shield on for most builds, and also the mutinous bracer if you like to go with a parry heavy game style, but this has a higher requirement of our fortitude and our dexterity, which puts us out of the fast dodge, so that's why they just keep it simple, go with one of the lighter dodges, because dodging in this game is insanely powerful. Unless you like using a shield, I would actually just go with the cheap options. Now our jail, this is important. Bat is so overpowered in this game because it gives us a ranged way to be able to get our Ichor back. So when we're low, you want to charge this up. I didn't do a full charge there. You're going to see a red flash whenever you get to full charge. So right there, we got the full charge. Let her rip. It'll continually damage the enemy over time and give you your Ichor back so that you can continually keep casting spells. You want to use this whenever the boss has lost a lot of its Ichor, so if you're able to get into a bunch of attacks, and then the boss is doing something, you can just use your ability here and then jump away. It gives you a bit of extra mobility too, and that's what makes it so useful. So yeah, you can spam your skills away at range and then replenish them using this bat. Ogre is also nice too if you want to get your blood back, because it comes out the quickest, so this is going to be useful if you like the Ogre game style. And Stinger is nice as well, but I just found Bat to be very useful. If you like parrying, you can use Reaper, but again, it's just Bat. Now for our boosters, I like Dexterity boosts, obviously, because those give us straight up DPS. Now, we also can go with a one-handed sword mastery. However, this does have a 2 stat requirement of strength and dex, which puts me over the edge. So I can't use this one if I want to have that fast dodge, but this would obviously be a very good one because it boosts up the damage by around 20%. I also like the devotion to increase the Blood Reaver Blade because that's a huge source to our DPS. Trust me on that. Try Blood Reaver Blade. If you get a couple perfect ones off, you're basically defeated the boss at that point. The balance booster is also nice because it gives you a pretty sizable amount of boost to your balance, which means we're getting knocked down less often. And I like the max stamina up. I got 2 of them on. So 2 plus dexterity, 2 plus stamina. I think that works well. There's a lot of other ones that can fit onto this build as well, like gain Ichor on overheal, but honestly, more stamina, more dexterity means that we can stab more with the sword. Now for our Formae, I like to have the Secret Art Forestall on here. However, I'm just going to mention that the damage is not amazing, and I actually end up finding that I use the Venomous Shot more, but earlier on in the game, this is more than fine. It does have low requirements, so you can use this. And Thunderclap is another one, which is okay. I don't love it. I'll show off what both of these look like. The damage from these is all right, but I honestly think that it's best to use Blade Dance and Venomous Shot for most of our attacks, and I'm going to show you why. So here is the Forestall attack. It gives you range, which is nice. 1,300 damage there, which is, it's decent. It missed a shot there. It does basically your weapon attack, so if we were to do a couple attacks from close range here, this does basically the same amount of damage as 3 attacks there, so it can be nice to get some extra damage off from range. But even though it has lower damage, the Venom shots, these come off quicker. They have the same cost, and Venom is just so overpoweringly broken in this game, so I typically prefer to use this because it comes from, you can use this from a longer range, and it's going to be good at giving us an easy way to get statuses off. So you can see there, we got 3 of them, and now it's doing Venom damage over time. Venom in this game is insanely strong here. It's not doing a crazy amount against this boss, but trust me, against most bosses, it's going to just deplete their health fast. So yeah, Forestall can be useful just because it gives you that extra range damage, but I would typically leave this for after you get your Venom off on the enemy, because it's better to just apply Venom. I also like the Thunder attack that we do get. It does have a very high cost, so you do have to continually keep getting your Ichor back to be able to use it, but it is another range attack here, so you can attack with that range and then follow-up attack. For the cost of it, it does have a knockdown on lighter enemies, but I don't find it to be an extremely useful ability, solely because it's kind of easy to get hit out of this attack. Now, Judgment Cutter is another one that you can go with. It lets you swing your sword up and then jump back down. Severing Abyss, kind of the same idea. These are okay moves if you like to use them, but Severing Abyss obviously has a high cost of 5. There's also the Vanquisher here, similar idea, you jump back up and down. These are more flashy. I don't find them to be that useful on a one-handed sword build. Honestly, one-handed swords like Wu Chang Fallen Feathers, which released last year, feels like they're more of like a caster style weapon. So you can get by with using like some different magics, but honestly, Venom is just so good in this game. So I will mention again, Blade Dance is super useful. Activate this every time and watch the middle bottom of your screen, because that's going to give you the timer. It lasts a really long time. So you see it's there at the bottom middle of the screen. And it actually, as we continue to keep attacking, can give us upwards of a 50% damage boost. So our first attack did 666 damage there. Now we got 899. I was hitting 999 earlier, so yeah, the damage from that is very much worth using, so buff that up at all times. Another one that I want to mention alongside the Venom is either the Venom Mark or the Flame Weapon. This will add extra fire damage or Venom application onto your weapon, which, again, can shred enemy health bars really quickly. It's great against bosses. Now, when it comes to combat, I honestly think that our first priority is setting up our Venom on the enemy, so that's either using our Venom Mark or our Venom ranged attack there, because, yeah, Venom is just going to do the most in terms of damage, and we want to get that obviously applied off early. We're going to be kiting enemies often with this build because we have some of the best mobility in the game with that stabbing attack, so we want to play to that as much as possible. If enemies are going to be in our direction, you obviously got to play defensively, so obviously a lot of dodging. That's where that quick dodge comes into play, but we can do that quick stab to get back into the enemy's range here, so boom, just like that, and then you're in their face. So you can play to this as much as you want, like just go in and back forwards. Watch out for their attacks, obviously. This is something that you want to be kind of getting in a rhythm of doing, where you just block and go back in. He's just shielding these, which is frustrating, but if your teammate there is able to grab the aggro for you, you can then use your attacks from the backside, and then they're obviously going to be quite powerful. If you don't charge up the attack, you do a 3 stab, but honestly, with the one-hand sword, you want to charge it. But our first order of business is always to apply that Venom. It's going to take a variety of shots. If the enemy has a high Venom resistance, this is a point where you can craft items and use like a icy salve or a fire salve to add extra damage on top. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on this one-handed sword build in Code Vein 2. Hit the subscribe button below if this video is useful, and I hope you guys all have an amazing day.